Welcome over to Automotive World, everyone. I'm your host, Vinay Mr. We're back and we are doing some more data in terms of the theft of vehicles. You're going to just see our video we did of the top 10 most stolen vehicles in America in 2023. We're now going to go to the top 10 states for most stolen vehicles. This is going to be a bit interesting. Let's find out. So, like I said, we have the top 10 on here. Missouri right now is the safest one, but we're going to go through this whole list. So we're going to start off in 2023. California, and I don't want to get too political in this list at all, but California has its own problem for just a variety of reasons, from just environmental to whether it's not having enough water. Just California is kind of one of the states where it's just not a good place to be. High prices, a lot of crime and things, and they are overwhelmingly, there's a lot of car thefts. 208,668 vehicle thefts in 2023. Almost 210,000 vehicles were stolen. Like I said, I don't want to get too political or anything, but as somebody who doesn't live in California, there's a lot of reasons myself and other people don't want to move to California, and I think that is just not a good look for California, with all the issues that they face and all the high prices that they have to go through and still face these issues. Number 2, Texas, super popular state, 115,013 vehicles stolen. So still quite a lot of vehicles stolen, over the 100,000 threshold. Definitely, obviously not as much as California, but not too far off. I mean, not saying not too far off, but definitely, a considerable amount of vehicles stolen. Number 3, my home state, Florida. 46,213 vehicles. We're not perfect here. Florida, we're famous for a lot of reasons. Good reasons and bad reasons. 46,213 vehicles. It's not nothing, but when you look at compared to the rest of this list, I think we're doing pretty good. We're under 50,000. I think we did pretty good last year. Washington, 43,160 vehicles. Not too far off from Florida, but we're not near the 100,000 mark. I think California and Texas, something clearly is going on there. Like I said, I don't want to get too political and all that on this, but I think clearly there's something going on with California and Texas. Going lower down the list, this is going to get better and better. Illinois, 41,528 vehicles. That's really, really surprising to see. Like I said, don't want to get too political, but I know we know a lot of, in the news, Illinois and kind of Chicago, a lot of people love to refer to it as like the murder capital and things. Obviously, that is, a different type of crime than vehicle theft, but it's kind of interesting that, I think a lot of people would probably think like places like Illinois and New York would be further up on the list, but they're not. Really, really interesting to see that. Colorado. Only 34,068 vehicles were stolen. Like I said, it's not nothing, but when you look at the rest of the list right up here, that's a pretty good number. That's a pretty good place to be. New York. This is a really surprising one because, like I said, not to be too political or anything, but, especially New York just has a ton of people in such a small, dense, so packed in that environment. I feel like a lot of people would think places like I said, Illinois, New York, Ohio would be a lot more. But New York is one of the lower ones on the list here. 32,715 vehicles. And keep in mind, too, this list is still the top 10, vehicles, top 10 states with the most, stolen vehicles. So even though Missouri is lower on the list here, there's obviously, we got 50 states. Missouri is not the lowest state, but Missouri is the lowest out of the top 10. So I don't want to make this list seem like, oh my God, Missouri is like one of the best places to live. They don't steal your vehicle. They're one of the best places out of the top 10 apparently, but there's still a lot, other states with way lower, statistics. So this isn't Missouri is the best place for lowest amount of vehicles stolen. Absolutely not true. It's just they're just in they just made the 10th spot. Coming over, like I said, from New York to Ohio, 31,647 vehicles stolen. Not a ton, but it's not nothing. Number 9, the first state under 30,000 is Georgia. 28,171 vehicles were stolen. Really, really interesting number to see that. especially, you know, just given the proximity between how close Florida and Georgia are to each other. Really, really interesting to see that. And like I said, number 10 on this list, Missouri is not the lowest state with the lowest amount of car thefts. They are just, you know, the lowest out of the top 10. Missouri, though, still statistically is obviously a lot higher than other states at 27,279 vehicles that were stolen. This is a really, really interesting list to see. We also now have here on this list as well, top 10 states by theft rate. So this, instead of doing this list up here, is the total number of, you know, the total number of actual vehicles that were stolen in total units. This is going to be per 100,000 people. So this is essentially going to be a ratio. In the District of Columbia, you know, per 100,000 people, huge numbers. I mean, this is, wow. Looking at this list, I mean, you've got, you know, Texas at the bottom here. You got in the, you know, number 1 spot, District of Columbia. Number 2, Colorado. Number 3 is Nevada. Number 4 is Washington. 5 is California. You know, New Mexico, Missouri, Maryland, Oregon. And that's also why I wanted to bring up this list up here. Because, you know, like I said, this is the total amount of units, actual, you know, like cars that were stolen. Obviously, this list is going to differ just because of, you know, like I said, population and density and things like that. But it is kind of interesting when you see it like that. There's a lot of states that are on this list that per 100,000 people had higher rates of theft. But, you know, even with those higher rates, because of the population density, or because of, you know, even though the population density was, we could say, not in their favor, whether because they were bigger than states or smaller than states or had more people packed into certain areas, we could still see that they weren't on the list. So we can see some, you know, some of the states here, there is a little bit of correlation. California is number 5 on the list. Keep in mind, though, California has a ton of people. It's a huge state too. So when you think of California number 5 on this list here, and then you look at, you know, the size of these other states, Texas is also a big state as well. But this, you know, the number for California really does match up here. You know, we have, you know, starting off, like I said, District of Columbia, you know, we have 1,149.71. We've got Colorado, 583.25 per 100,000 people. Nevada's 572.70 per 100,000. Washington is 554.44. You know, I mean, after that, I mean, after we get to California at 534.49, you know, we kind of get into the, you know, below 500s here per every 100,000 people. So, you know, New Mexico at 489.67. The lowest would be Texas at, you know, 383 people per 100,000, which is also a bit of an interesting figure. But like I said, Texas has a ton of people coming into it every single day. A ton of people are moving to Texas, and Texas is a legitimately large state. It is one of the largest states, if not the largest state in the country. So, you know, when you look at, you know, this amount of theft, they're not as high as California, but when you look at that amount of theft, and then you keep in mind, you know, taking account to the population and the size of the state per 100,000 people, these numbers kind of add up. So it's a bit interesting. Obviously, there's some tips here, you know, basic stuff we should all know. Don't leave keys in the car, don't leave valuables, park in a well-lit area if you can. Obviously, don't leave your vehicle running, things like that, you know. But this is a very, very interesting list that we have here. And I wanted to go over this because I figured we're going to do a top 10 vehicle, you know, most stolen vehicles list. Let's do a top 10 for the states and actually see what the theft rate was. So like I said, I think this was really, really, really interesting. Let me know what you guys think of this video. Obviously, like, we have some context down here. Missouri, you know, state representatives are, you know, trying to introduce legislation to, you know, prevent, you know, vehicle thefts and prevent, you know, combat when it comes to vehicle theft and things like that. If you guys live in one of these states, please let me know what you think. Do you think these numbers are accurate? Do you think maybe they're higher than they should be, or do you think maybe they're too low? Let me know what you guys think. And like I said, if you've had any encounters, I'd love to hear your side of the story. But that's going to do it for now, everyone. Thanks for watching.